One world currency.
The New World Order.
Those are the roots of trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is August 21st, 2013. And tonight's broadcast is going to be an epic one. It always is when I have my good friend, Mr. Michael Vail, back on with me. And if you guys here at Unbound, I don't think the Unbound audience has gotten a chance. Oh, you know what? No, Mike, you came on with me once already on Unbound, right after we got started. That's right. About a month after we got started, I think you came on with me. But we've gotten a ton of new listeners since then. So for the newer listeners, you might not know who Mike is, but after tonight, you're going to know. You're going to be extensively, let's say, well aware of his intellectual capabilities, and you're going to like his website as well. Mike's actually got the coolest tagline for his site, Strat Risks. Mike, what's this? What do you say? Visit because the CIA does, or something like that?
This is the unofficial, of course, the unofficial tagline. The CIA visits, so should you.
They do, by the way. And I say this all the time, but I've actually seen the screenshots of when they're visiting. So, Mike said, "Look, Popeye, snapshot whoop, through Skype. Oh, look." So they really do listen. I trying to push him to come back on air. Mike seems to have sequestered himself.
I'm incommunicado at this very moment, but things could happen. Yes. I could get back in the saddle.
I'm trying to give him peer pressure. For those of you that don't know, Mike used to do radio back in the day. He's an old internet radio veteran, and he does a really good show. But he's become a monk. He sequestered himself up on top of the mountain, and then the only way you can hear him is once in a while he does guest spots on a couple different radio broadcasts here or there, and through Strat Risks, basically, if you go pay attention.
You say monk, man. It's funny you say monk, man. I've been hanging out at a damn ashram lately, so it's funny you say that.
You doing yoga?
Meditation, not yoga. Not that stuff where you, stretch and all that. That's different.
Because that would actually require you to,
that would be like, I can hear somebody, my little me in the background of my head going, "Nigga, you gay," and that'd be just like that,
So you can't do. Trust me, if you actually did it, it's not that bad. But
no, I mean it's cool, but it's Americanized. That's the joke is now. It's Americanized. It's a lot more.
Yeah, dude, it's like tattoos. Trust me. All right, the break's sneaking up. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We're back in 59 seconds. All right, Mikey Mike, we are back. Nice long segment. I know there's a plethora. Am I saying that right, or is it plethora? I know there's some debate on which way. I'll say plethora.
I like plethora.
Yes, there's a plethora of things to go over since the last time you came on, including I'm sure you saw the news already coming out of Syria today that up to, what is it now, 1,300 dead or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but supposedly up to 1,300 people dead from a sarin gas attack. And of course, the rebels are like, "Oh my God, it's Assad's forces." Really, that's convenient that he would attack civilians on the day the UN's inspectors are showing up there to inspect things. And how convenient! It happens right down the road from where they are. Why would he do that?
It's funny. There's a famous and favorite quote of mine by Niccolo Machiavelli. He says, "If you want to know what's happening, you must learn what has already happened, because in any time period of what we're looking at now has already come to pass." Paraphrasing, right? And he would be a fool in the position he is right now, where you not only have hired goons, paid rebels, with the U.S. and Israel, military weapons, logistics, infrastructure, all around him. I mean, literally missile shields, whether it's Patriot, Iron Dome, all around him on every border from Israel, Turkey, Jordan, all around him for him to do something foolish like this. And I say this, preface it with this, I'm never a cheerleader of any country. I want truth. I want information. I want facts. And I'm not interested in, whatever they're spinning today. And it seems to me like that was the perfect time for a false flag. I mean, because that's when UN first touched down. And so he would be crazy to do this because he only has really a little bit of his, inside circle left right now because everyone's jumped ship and moved on to, I could say, greener pastures. But I mean, it's so crazy right now. But he is one in a long set of dominoes that will continue on into the future. We'll be long dead, and they'll still be invading countries.
It just makes no sense, dude, when they're... I mean, come on. Look at it. Look at it for a second. He has the threat of the UN, right? The righteous indignation of people, other countries being angry that he's killing civilians, right? He's getting all sorts of threats from the warmongers. The rebels are like, "Please invade, we need help." Why would he give them the ammo that they need? It's not
to hang himself, literally like making the rope to hang himself. Yeah,
it's not tactically sound. It just doesn't make any sense. Not at all.
No, it's foolish. I mean, it's completely foolish. And the thing about it is that you're not going to have someone down there independently going down the ground and checking it out and verifying the sources, of these chemical weapons. It's not going to happen. Okay, you're going to have someone, one of their boys, coming from the UN saying that's right, it's Assad, so they can go and do what they want to do. Assad is a placeholder. He's basically a support structure for not only Russia but Iran, and it's a domino set. We go back to what Wesley Clark said.
And wasn't Syria one of the countries that he listed off that he had seen that there was this urge to invade? Right. Well, it wasn't too far after 9/11. It was a couple months after, right? Or maybe a month after. He said.
And matter of fact, Somalia was on that list, and we're already having a secret war in Somalia as it is right now. I mean, you've got not only SOCOM in there, you've got Eurofor in there, Euronafor in there, and I mean, really, they have all sorts of secret wars going on all around the globe. And Bahrain and Yemen is a secret war, not a secret war really to take out the leadership, but to keep the leadership intact so they can contain their military bases for the future. So, it's a little bit of take these guys out. These guys aren't helping us. Keep these guys here because they're an aid to us and our military bases are here. And so it's a big chess game going on right now. And really, they need to watch America. They need to watch Europe because there's no hope. There's no change. There's no reform. There's no steam valves that will take the pressure off people to help them. And so what you're going to have eventually is a middle class uprising.
And well, that's what that's why they're also trying to do the race baiting and everything else. Here they do the same thing at home. You have the same model that they do, by the way, that they attack other countries. They do here at home, and that's why they do the race baiting here at home to try to foment the same type of bloody violence and stuff. But I actually want to pick your brain just about that in and of itself later. But going back over to the Middle East and imminent freaking war, what do you think is going to come out of this whole thing? I mean, do you think that they're going to actually try to run with this and push as the reason to invade now? Or because, I mean, they've been doing this fake crap.
They've been trying, yeah.
They over and over and over again.
They came out with the big fake Jessica Lynch story.
Yep.
These guys are cranking out information of ways, spinless, for various ways and reasons, and being paid to do so. And so what they do, literally, and it's a crude fashion the way they do it, they take the crap, they throw it up against the wall, and they see what sticks. They see what Americans are gullible enough to take, and what is it that we question, what is it that we don't question, which ways, can they do this strategically. And so if they don't see a lot of this is complete BS from the American people or from the media, which, really is we have no longer a media now, they're just bullied. And if they can get any play with this, and they'll do a lot of polling and focus groups to see if this is going to work for them. And if it doesn't, they'll wait a little longer. They'll try something again. I mean, it's wag the dog here. It's a professional attack, and it's happening over and over again. It's radical incrementalization where they're going to keep trying. They're going to do the old Saddam Hussein. Saddam threw the babies out of the incubators on the cold floor.
Oh, you remember that?
That was also a PR firm.
They took the babies out of the incubators. Wasn't that the daughter of a politician, a Saudi politician?
Kuwaiti
politician.
It was a Kuwaiti politician, yeah, and then she got busted later on.
But you don't hear about that part.
No, I mean, what about Jessica Lynch? She's an American hero.
Oh, most people don't know that Jerry Bruckheimer took care of that.
Thank you. Go read the book, Wag the Dog. Go see the movie. This is how it really
by the
works.
way, we're not kidding. The whole Jessica Lynch story, Jerry Bruckheimer, from start to finish. I'm not being facetious when I say that. I go research it. It's all fake.
He's right. Yeah. I mean, they get these ideas, okay? Now, Hollywood is not a place for they make movies and you go to see them. That industry is dying off now. They're sort of merging into new industries. And really, propaganda, the dark arts, that's really a new resource for them. And PR and spinning things. I mean, anything you hear out of a politician's mouth, someone has already focus grouped and imposed it to death before he even says it. Now, like they train Bill Clinton, there's certain ways you move your hands and certain speeches patterns that you do before you say anything. So none of these guys are on the level. None of these guys are legit. They're literally mere puppets for the PR firms to say this and you'll get elected.
Yep. And most of those PR firms are funded and controlled by the very same bloodlines that are, behind everything else. Amazing. Well,
I mean, you talk about bloodlines, and this is something lately I've been researching about how societies begin their inevitable collapse. And here's the problem. You've got two sides. And I'll go to ancient China. You've got eunuchs, okay? Eunuchs, elite families who have been controlling the dynasty for years. And if their greed exceeds, really what they can have, then they begin to want to take over the government. And then you also have the side, which I talked about earlier, the steam valve of reform, the hope, the changey, really giving people something like, okay, guy, you can do what you want to do. You can go out there and get your American dream and work for it, but now all those avenues are being closed off. And so there's different sides of uprisings and rebellions. Why do you think Homeland Security is buying guns? Why do you think the IRS is buying AR-15s and bullets, okay? And bringing home flak jackets for Homeland Security. They're preparing for this. They know this. They have all sorts of simulation software built for this to know when this is going to happen.
Why do you think, like I said earlier, why do you think they're race baiting? Why do you think they're trying to push the a lot of what I call faux racial tension. People go, what do you mean there's no racial tension? There is, but, I mean, let's be honest, it's not the 1950s, okay? It's not like that anymore. People don't think like that anymore. Yes, there are sections of this country where people might think like that, okay? But, I'm sure it took a long time for the people that thought that the earth was flat to, wise up. I'm sure that
And we got bigger fish to fry.
Right, and on it, well, it's stupid because it's counterproductive. The only thing that does is create division, dude. And and this isn't, by the way, this isn't just in case anybody thinks, oh, well, this is too. What's the terminology they use? You come from white privilege. Well, Mike's a black guy, just in case anybody isn't aware of that. So
yeah, and I didn't vote for Barack Obama.
Oh my God, sacrilege! You must have been thrown up on a cross and set on fire in your neighborhood.
I actually voted for Gary Johnson. Actually, reason being is that I liked what he said and liked his position.
I got bitched at for not voting for McCain. Oh, that was a wasted vote.
Oh, I hate when people say that.
I'm like, dude, I didn't. This time I didn't even vote. I was like, I'm not even voting. Well, why not? Because there's no point in voting, dude. If voting actually changed, I vote on local issues. I just don't vote for the president because there's no point. It's already picked. Like your vote actually matters in that arena. It matters in local things like whether or not if they put on the thing, should we get rid of fluoride or something like that? Yeah, vote to keep that stuff out. I'm all down for local stuff. But the national election, like with the president and stuff, dude, it's a joke. If voting actually changed anything in Washington, D.C., they would have outlawed it.
Exactly. I mean, people wonder why there's malware in the computers. Well, what about your voting booth?
Dude, we did a video back in 2008 where we were at one of the polling places, or the voting places, whatever you want to call it, at my friend's apartment building. It was at the time he lived in this huge building, and it was set up as one of the voting places in the city we lived in. So we went over. He lived there, so he went down the night before with a camera just to show, because he happened to be out by the pool, and it was in one of the community houses, whatever the frig it's called, out by the pool. And that's where the voting center was set up. So he had gone by it earlier when he was in the pool, and he noticed that there was nobody in there, and everything was the voting machines were unlocked, some of them, because they were supposed to have like a wire tie type lock that you'd have to cut off, and it was like, yes, it's been sealed and nobody's tampered with it, and they opened them. Well, he's got video, and it's up on one of my Federal Jack YouTube channels. It might have been on one of the ones that got deleted, but I think it's still up on like Tube. Federal Jack Tube, which is one of the originals. It might be. But he's running around with his camera phone, and he's showing you, he's like, look, there's like 3 or 4 of them, and he's lifting the lid on the voting machines. They're supposed to be sealed. The other ones have this wire tie, and there's like 3 or 4 of them that are just unsealed. And then the computer that you would tally everything up on is just sitting on sitting in this little laptop they had, was just sitting in the middle of a table all by itself, untouched. Nobody messing with it, just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, years and years ago, when I looked at it, they had those machines. They had basically a secret Wi-Fi access point. I mean, they're built for fraud. I mean, that's well known. We had a guy here in Tallahassee, Florida, that had made a video while he was in court about how he was a programmer writing in the fraud in these voting machine software. I mean, they had flash drives that had executable code on them. I mean, it's well documented.
It's heavily documented. I'm going to cut us off because the break's sneaking up. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. More with Mike Vail. Check out his website, stratrisks.com. We'll be right back. We are back. Side subject really quick, because my father was chatting with me on the text on Skype there for a brief second. He was talking about Monopoly, and it made me think of one of the official rules of the game, and I threw it up to Mike there, and I thought I'd throw it up to the audience. The official rule of the Monopoly game, when you're the banker, when you run out of paper currency on the game's not over if you run out of physical paper currency. It says right in the thing that the game can continue on. You just cut up sheets of paper and draw the numerical value on it, and then there's your extra currency for the game.
quantitative easing, I
Yeah.
believe they call it.
Yeah, isn't that what the Federal Reserve does now? So, wait, what are they taking the monopoly rules of the board game, or maybe you think the board game was put out there to put the idea in people's heads, maybe help them accept bankers and banking a little bit easier.
That's like the book Wizard of Oz was all about economics.
Go ahead, lay it out.
Okay, it's been a long time since I read it. Okay, but the whole idea really of the Wizard of Oz and the whole backstory, all of that, really was about fractional reserve banking and that sort of thing. And matter of fact, who was the writer? I interviewed someone who wrote a book on that. I forget her name, but it's been years since I talked to her. But you got to check it out. I mean, there's information all out there that you have to find. Really, that really, even back in the days before these massive websites, it was much better information. It was more important than it is even today.
Well, most people don't read.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Most people don't, now it's been bred out, and I'm not picking on people, but it's been bred out of them. I mean, that's what iPads and all that stuff is for. We're like, no, it's because it's a technological advancement. Yeah, okay. Go read Charlotte Eserby's book, The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. Why do you think iPads are one thing, but using them in schools are another?
Oh my God!
You want to see a great video? Because I'm sure you could find it. Just go on YouTube and look up. Thank you, Apple, for rewiring my child's OS. And basically, it was this dude in Britain that videotapes his kid, or you can just look it up on a search engine. If you look that up, it should bring up the article. This guy shot a YouTube video of his kid, his little girl at the time, and she could play with an iPad. She knew how to, you move your hand back and forth to open and close it and make things pop up and everything, right? Knew how to operate it completely. Could move it around, could put apps on it, could do this, could do that with it, everything, right? Was happy, giggling, laughing. He takes the iPad away and gives her a magazine, which kids, when we were kids, that's what we played with, magazines. We folded the pages back and forth, and we looked at the pictures, and we touched the pictures. A lot of times if you expose a kid to a magazine, if they haven't been exposed to like an iPad, we'll say, right, or an iPhone, they'll play with the magazine. You'll see them, crumple the pages and touch it, and they laugh and giggle, and right? This kid didn't know what to do with the magazine. She was trying to make the magazine pages zoom in and zoom out like you would with your hand on the iPad. That's why the guy shot
Pavlov's dog.
Exactly. That's why the guy shot the video, and it says, "Thank you, Steve Jobs, for permanently rewiring my child's OS." Because of the, and I mean, obviously you're the parent, so you could fix that because the kid is still young, but it proves a point that these kids are being brainwashed and literally, dumbed down because of the use of these computers, and they're using, or tablets, and they're using them in schools. And it's not a tablet per se. I'm not saying, tablets are evil. What I'm saying, the use and dependency on these things is dumbing us down, and it's planned that way. Okay.
Well, I mean, think about it. Nowadays, when people write an email, they can't really even spell anymore. Everything is done for them. Okay. I mean, it's like let's say you take, you're looking for some information, right? And the information is in your head, but yet you go online and look to make sure that you're right, even though you're right. I mean, that's the level of sophistication there is.
I've done it to myself, dude. I've even questioned myself at times, and I'll find myself doing it. And then after I check, I'm like, you were right. Why'd you double check yourself? You knew you were right.
Yeah.
So, no, I know exactly what you mean. And people do depend, now they depend on spell check, so they don't even try to spell anything anymore. Or they text, so everything is U is not Y-O-U, it's just the letter U. And then that actually dumbs you down, too, because when you go to actually, try to formulate a sentence, sometimes you might actually forget how to spell a word, or you might, it'll take you a minute or two. Look, I experienced it where for a brief period of time, via Skype chat, if I was doing 18 things at once, I would use abbreviations. I stopped because I felt that it was making me stupider. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't tell anybody, about this or point it out if I didn't experience it in, my own life. All right, I'm going to cut us off because the break's sneaking up on us. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Mike and I will be right back. All right, Mike, I got to ask you. I kind of already know, but for the listening audience and for the point of getting the point out there to people that this faux racial tension that I brought up earlier is being put out by the mainstream media, the government, and certain people that are race pimps like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, or race baiting pimps, I should say. I got to ask you about this. Now, you can give me your opinion either way, just as a smart individual, or you can, give me your opinion as a black guy. But I want to know what you think about all this, because personally, I think it's all bullshit. You want to be honest? I mean, yeah, there is racial tension here and there, but I don't think it's anything like it was in the 50s, and I think it's being done to further divide us. And a lot of people buy into it because they've been bred, that you're a victim. People have been raised their whole lives that they're victims.
Right.
And if you're taught that you're nothing but a victim your whole life, what do you think you're going to believe when you're an adult? You know what I mean? So, what say you? What are your thoughts on it, dude?
Well, I like to call them tragedy pimps, okay? And we all know that Jesse Jackson was an FBI informer and probably got Martin Luther King killed. Matter of fact, right after Martin Luther King was shot, he went and took a lot of blood that was on the ground and put it all over his clothes. And this is one of my eyewitness reports. And acted like Martin Luther King was like the last thing anyone saw. Last thing Martin Luther King saw was Jesse Jackson. Like he was given the the sort of path to go on to be the new leader. That's what he wanted. Okay, and then his degenerate son. And here's the problem. Here's Jesse Jackson's profile. They'll go to a company like Pepsi or Coke or UPS or somebody and say, hey, there's not enough black people in administration level, or higher working here. We're going to picket you. We're going to cause trouble for you every day. And his guys go and confer and they say, okay, we're going to cut you a check. And guess what? He goes home. Not that anything changes. Not that he really gives a rat's ass. But the fact is he was just looking for money. It was basically a protection racket. Look, I'm going to give your company a black eye here, or you cough up some dough. And they cough it up. And then, of course, talk about Al Sharpton now and his gig, as a TV host on MSNBC. The guy can't even speak. He's just stumbling all over himself, saying Trayvon Martin had a skillet and some iced tea. I mean, he's terrible. But tragedy pimps always have a victim. You must have a victim. In our society, you don't have time to worry about racism. You're trying to find something to eat, okay? All this hope and change is not putting any money in anybody's wallet.
Nope, it's not. And you can see how they push that, you're a victim crap. Look, they brought his supposed girlfriend on. I can't remember her name. Piers Morgan brings her on, and I got to give credit to Larry Elder for calling this out. He was like, you were telling her she's a victim, Piers, and he was. He was basically like, oh, poor you. To the audience, it's an appeal to emotion, but it also reinforces that stereotype, whatever you want to call it, that I think largely in part the black community has been propagandized with over the past 20 years, because if you go back further, like the older school guys like MLK and them, it's much different. But over the past 20 or 30 years, the propaganda of you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim has been aimed at the black community at large. Not saying that black people didn't have it rough in history. Okay, they did. But
yeah, but it's almost like a oversensitification, like always.
It's like trying to rework the nerve. Like it's scar. It's like scar tissue, and it's healed up, and they're coming back in with a scalpel.
Rip it open again. Yeah. I mean that's the whole idea here, and not that they do it because really they care or anything, or they have any noble goals. But really, it's to get a check every week. Okay, it's to keep their power. And he thought, especially Jesse Jackson thought, that he would run for president, being a tragedy pimp, and be president of the United States. I mean, he was really throwing a lot of hate on Barack Obama, and them two were clashing for a while because they both wanted to be the tragedy pimps in office, the tragedy pimp in chief, and it just worked out that way for Obama. And we're talking about a guy who His family was CIA, okay? This guy's going around all over the country for no reason at all. I mean, oh yeah, your father's a shoe salesman. He's got to go to every country in the world. Okay, sure, okay. Tell me a bedtime story, please. But it's funny. You know, Obama and Hope and Change. Not even the liberals are buying the Hope and Change anymore. I mean, this is ridiculous. I heard Thom Hartman on Today talking trash about Obama, okay? So, I mean, the jig is up for them. The cult of personality is over. But in this new society, man, you've got to put some food in your belly, okay? You got to keep some cash in your wallet. You're too busy to be talking about racism when you need to eat.
And that's why they keep putting it out there it's kind of like I said, it's like that nerve, and they're just trying to work it. And it's just another way to distract people and keep us divided. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what color you are or what nationality you are. On the inside, we all operate the same way.
I'll tell you a story, interesting story, a quick story. I was going to this little ATM at night, right? Me and a buddy of mine. And we see this white lady in there, which is ATM, right? And so, like, okay, the line's short. That's all we're thinking, the line's short. She sees both of us. This is funny. She, like, clutches her purse, like, hard, like, deathlock, like, you know, like, clutches her purse hard, and puts it towards her chest, like, really hard. And we look at each other, and we laugh. And we laugh until there's tears in our eyes. And we shame the living crap out of her, okay? We didn't have to say a word. We just laughed at her for even thinking that, okay? And between the two of us, we probably have more money in our pockets.
And that's how you're supposed to handle things like that. I've said this before. You don't need law. I mean, we already have enough laws on the books as it is. You don't need more crap, and you don't need the fake, you know, shit stirring. Yeah, well, it's just stirring, dude. It's just what they're doing, like Al Sharpton and all them. They're stirring the pot. That's what they're doing. Okay. Yeah, there are some people that are ignorant, you know, that still hold those thoughts. I'm not going to say that people don't do that. But you know what you do with those people? You do what you did and your friend did. You shame them. Okay? If you know, if they can't move beyond that type of thinking, well, then that's their problem. Okay? And they'll become irrelevant, just like anybody else that thinks like that. Okay? It's just the way it is. We're all human on the inside. Okay, and on the outside, but I mean, we all operate the same way on the inside. It's like a car. Some cars look different on the outside, but they all operate pretty much off the same premise on the inside. You know what I mean? The same basic principles. And it's a way to control us, dude. First of all, where do these racist beliefs even come from? If you actually look, where do our beliefs come from? Well, they're programmed into us, because when kids are born, it's not like, you know, if you see kids that are babies in daycare centers, a lot of times you can see a black kid, an Asian kid, a Latino kid, and a white kid, and they don't care. It's not like the white kid's like, oh, I own all of you, and the black kid's not walking around being all like, you know, banging hip hop and like sagging his pants and trying to be a gangster. You know, that none of that crap is going on. All that retarded crap that you see.
Environment.
Yeah, man, it's the environment and the parents. And, the parents don't even realize half the time that they're enforcing this programming into the children. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you want to make a better, you know, all these kids, they suck. Well, you know what? That's actually an indicator of, you know, like, we're not doing the right job.
Well, I mean, if you think about it like this, okay? A child from the age of a baby to 3 years old, they don't have any sort of critical factor gatekeeper that blocks bad thoughts from going into the brain. They have nothing. It goes right in. Tell a kid that they're terrible, they're horrible, you know, I wish you would die, or whatever stuff, or that someone else is bad because of their skin color. That goes straight in. And they begin to parrot what the parent has already put in there. And so it continues on. And then so you think about, you know, like black children in the ghetto. In the ghetto, really, you're focused on really one thing, and that's really survival. And there's always someone who wants to make an excuse about why someone's here and why should we be here and elsewhere. And really, it doesn't matter now, because, you know, even bankers are hanging themselves with power ties because the economy sucks. There's bigger fish to fry, folks. It's time to switch gears.
I agree. And It's time to turn off Al Sharpton. I mean, turn off MSNBC. You shouldn't be watching that channel anyway. Have you noticed that everything on that channel now is racism? Like, every show. Like, if you oppose anything the government does, it's because you're racist because Obama's the first black president.
Either that and like this douche knuckle Ed Schultz. For the guy, he doesn't talk about, like, issues. It's all between Democrats and Republicans. You know, it's basically, you know, I had to tell someone one day kind of harshly, like, okay, guy, stop what you're doing. He was like, what? I'm like, you're trying to put me in your box so that you feel comfortable around me and so that you'll like me. What I think, what I believe, maybe not what you think and believe, but we can still get along. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think. It's about how we treat each other. And don't put me in your friggin' box. And, I mean, literally, like, he kind of couldn't take it. You know, it's like, no, I want to take everything that you say and reframe it and respin it to make me feel better about myself.
People can't handle looking at themselves. You know, a lot of people don't want to do that. Like, facing their own demons is too scary for some people. They'd rather project it out onto others. You know, look, I bring this up because the kids, the children, you know, they're going to be the future generations that are going to be, you know, in charge one day, right, of at least certain things, right? If things went normally and things don't go into some, you know, weird one world government, total tyranny type thing, but the future generations, regardless, are going to be the ones that we leave the planet to, right? They're going to be the ones that are in charge. Well, I mean, between all the crap that's on TV, and, you know, the race baiting, the propaganda, and then the dumbing down between the vaccines and the dumbing down in schools.
Food.
Oh, yeah, and the food, dude. I mean, there are smart young kids out there, but the younger generation, sometimes I see things that frighten me. You know what I mean? And I know certain things. It's
the Apple generation. That's what you can chalk it up to be a lot for a lot of things. I mean, you know, you were talking about reading books. You know, when I was a kid and I was reading books, you know, I would learn new words and look them up. Okay, what does this mean? What does the root of this word mean? And so, you know, in Orwell's book, 1984, where they have Newspeak, basically a new dictionary of words, like every few months or so, to keep people from learning new words, you learn less words, and it becomes condensed, and you can only express yourself in a certain way. Well, it's becoming that way anyway now. Because one, the sensitivities of people are way too heightened. Number two, as far as knowledge information, people are not even looking for it. They're really looking for means to escape their realities, okay? And number three, you know, the sort of refashioning of the mind by Apple, Google, and everyone else. You know, it's a wonder that people even know how to walk and chew gum at the same time. I like to be positive, and I've only been positive only really recently since I've sort of dealt with my own ego issues and my own problems. But to look at this stuff as a whole, I mean, it's bad and it's systemic.
Yeah, dude. And I'm not a doom and gloomer guy. Like, I know we can get through it, but that we have to point out the problem. I mean, the young people go, yeah, these younger kids, what are they, dumb? Yeah. I find more people saying to me now, it's like people are getting stupider. They are. People are getting stupider.
And there's a television in every home, and the average kid watches like 8 hours a day of television. And dude, guess what?
When I was a kid, you weren't allowed to watch that much TV in my house. My mother literally would throw me out. In fact, I got bad grades in high school. She had my father concoct a box out of a watch box that of the TV. I had I think it was like a 16-inch TV or whatever in my room, whatever, 20-inch, whatever the hell it was. It was a gift when I was younger. Big deal when I was a kid. Now kids have, huge 70-inch TVs. But she took the plug. My father made this box, and the plug would go in the box, and then she would put a master lock on it. Well, for 2 years, I didn't have a TV. Guess what? When I had the ability to get it back, I didn't want it back because I was like disconnected. I'm going to cut us off because we're going to break. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We will be right back. All right, Mike, we've gotten through a lot of the stuff. So I brought up the Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton crap first, get that out of the way, because I want to focus some time on some of the insanity that's going on with the NSA revelations. not even so much Snowden, but just all the insanity that's going on around the information itself. I mean, you got Glenn Greenwald's partner being detained by the UK in Heathrow for like 9 hours. Literally, they held him up till a few minutes before they would have had to legally justify why they held him for that period of time. Normally under their little anti-terrorism law that they claim that they were detaining him under, people are detained 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and he was detained for 9 hours, and he wasn't asked anything about terrorism. He was asked about, Glenn, and this other reporter that Glenn's working with, that the partner, and I forget his name, I think his name's David, he had just gone and seen her in Germany. He was like, I don't know about their reporting stuff because I'm kept out of it, which he is. Obviously for security reasons, which is smart. And they detained him anyway, and they took all the computers and stuff he has. They seized all the USB drives, his MP3 player, any portable video game systems he had. It's just, I mean, that's
your 8-track tape.
I mean, yeah, dude, that's just, I would have been like, you want my underwear too? I mean, Jesus. I mean, it's like I said to you off air, it's an act of desperation. It's an act of a desperate government or a desperate regime. And it's not, people could say, well, it was just the UK that did that. Really?
No. I mean, allow me to give you the backstory on not only the NSA, but as far as globally. Here's what's going on. So that they can say that whatever they're doing is legitimate, they can have, let's say, the NSA, looking at the GCHQ, the British intelligence side, the cyber domestic side, spying, have the NSA spy on the British, okay, and have the British spying on Americans, and say that, okay, we're not spying on people, we're spying on them, we're spying across the border. And so that way, everyone's getting spied on, but it's happening cross-channel. And also, when this thing blew open, it embarrassed a lot of people. France, what they were doing was totally legal. Germany, what they were doing totally illegal, between the B and D. Totally illegal. And so, what the backstory is now, it's like, okay, you've exposed us. This is your fault now. And now everyone knows about it. But what they didn't know about was how everyone was accessing the NSA mainway databases and other databases. I'm talking about NATO, DEA, FBI, even the IRS. Now you think about what kind of powers the IRS already has to find out if anyone's paying their taxes, but then you're able to go and use the special protocol viewers and really view traffic, raw data. I mean, the IRS having this ability, and already these guys, are already really kind of attacking people that they don't like anyway, and they have this ability. If more of this is exposed, it is going to blow wide open. Not that I have any illusions of grandeur to believe that something's going to change, but it is going to open people's eyes between the DEA and NATO. If NATO has access, as they came out in the BIND German newspaper, it came out that they have access to the NSA databases, then they are spying on their own geopolitical rivals. Okay, this is very, very big. And what I've also learned is that they can only look at this information through these protocol viewers for the past 3 days. They store everything. Everything that everyone does that is not encrypted, they store it. And also, if it is encrypted, they store it later. They store everything. And when they want to look at something, they go to these viewers for the past 3 days. Even the supercomputers that they have, and development of I forget the terminology they call them, where quantum computers, they can only look at all this information for the past 3 days, depending on who you're looking at. And so they're limited. And so they store it all in the future that they hope to increase the analysis capabilities and retention time. But also, really, they're trying to give everyone the illusion that they're, omnipotent, omniscient, they know everything, they're everywhere, but they're not. If they were, why is it all these sort of fake terror attacks are not stopped if they were really legitimate? Okay?
Well, like the information that they took from Greenwald's partner, right? What was the point of taking it? They seized it, even if they gave him back his equipment, but say they took whatever info that they deemed top secret or classified or whatever, and removed it from whatever media, and then gave him back the physical media. Do you not think that they would have sent him or do you think they would have sent him with the only copy of it? Do you not think that they would have made backup copies and hidden them elsewhere? And Greenwald's like, oh, there's copies of what he had on him all over the world, so it didn't matter. So all this did was give them a black eye and show how they're acting like a bunch of tyrants.
Now, this is very important. Check this out.
Hold on, I'm going to cut us off, Mikey, because the top of the hour is coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in exactly 59 short seconds, and then I'll let Mike get to his point. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. It is August 21st, 2013. Tonight I am joined by my good friend and extremely well researched and read individual / radio show host / part-time comedian, Mr. Michael Vail.
Part-time comedian, yeah, that could be probably true. But really, my other question about this whole NSA thing, I've been looking at this information now for months now. Kind of even before the whole Snowden thing really came out. But my other question is that how much of this is all these released, PowerPoint documents and such? How much of this is disinformation, and does this benefit the NSA by having people think that everything done on the internet is monitored? If that were true, then why the hell are they hammering these tech companies for information and encryption keys? The omniscient and omnipresent NSA would have no need to even do that. Like say, it's no secret that the CIA has a private equity and investment arm that has funded a lot of these tech companies from day one. And so you have a little back and forth even between these intelligence agencies that are seeing, the NSA getting a black eye, and maybe that's beneficial to them. Or maybe, it's the head of the 16 intelligence agencies. So
you ever read The Secret Team by Fletcher Prouty?
Yes, and I've
he talks about how the NSA and the CIA butt heads.
Yes, I mean it happens all the time. Just like the FBI wouldn't really connect with the CIA, and so you have all these issues. But you think about it, okay? They're giving you this facade that they're all knowing, and yet they're banging on these tech companies. Give us your encryption keys. Give us information. These guys are supposed terrorists, but yet they have no proof. So, but if you look at the whole picture, it tells me that they're struggling to keep up with people who value privacy. And really, regardless how much of this is leaked info, maybe disinformation, it is pushing people towards seeking out new technology. And for those who are interested in it, I would check out OpenVPN with an Open SSL tunnel and changing your encryption keys every 5 minutes. It's what I do. And I stay in that all day long.
Is it easy to set up? Is it difficult to, figure out? I mean, you're kind of a computer guy, so like for the layman, is it hard to set up?
It depends. You can set it up if you have a server. You can set it up yourself. It's not that hard, but you could pay some schmo. Matter of fact, there's a couple guys who I know who do it, and they pay like $5 a month. But what's cool is not only do you have the encryption of the OpenVPN, you have an Open SSH tunnel over that. So you literally have like 3 encryption tunnels, and when you change the keys every 5 minutes, literally you're adding thousands of hours of extra time to break the encryption every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes. And so literally, if someone even has the mere chance of breaking that encryption, whichever time period they're looking at, they're only looking at a small window of data. And so it really is pissing off these intelligence agencies. Another thing is how they're taking over and bullying these guys that are providing.
I'm gonna cut us off right there, Mike, because the quick break's coming up. We're back in 1 minute, but I want to get into that. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. So, what Mike was alluding to when we were when I cut him off for the break and we went to break there. Things like Lavabit, the guy who owns it, the government went to him and said, we want backdoor access to all the emails, because like a secure email, and that was his gig, and they said, look, we want access to these emails, and unlike some of these other companies, he stood his ground and said no, and rather than comply with the court order, or I don't know if it was a court or a government order or whatever. I don't know if it was court ordered. I don't want to say that.
Might have been like a national security letter.
Yeah, that's I think what it was. But whatever it was, which is basically just bullying from the government. But
exactly.
He rather than give in to bullying, he basically said screw you, and he shut his whole system down. He said, and he sent everybody messages saying sorry, but your privacy is more important to me than leaving the service running. Basically, he's not going to give in. So now the government wants to file charges against him, or at least they're threatening to file charges against him, because they say that closing down his own business, which he owns privately, violated their little letter or their order, from them to him,
Yep.
Whatever the hell it was. I mean, really? Okay, Stalin, I'm sorry that, my business that I own is owned by you, because, hey, we didn't build that. I mean...
But this tells me right now, by their action, there's another guy who ran a company called Silent Circle who also did the email stuff. He closed that down recently. There's even a law website called Grok Law that went down the other day because they needed access to secure email. And they said, going forward, it's going to be damn near impossible, and so they closed their doors. So the NSA that supposedly has all this information and so easily can look at all information is on the side bullying people, saying, give us your encryption keys, show us all the data, put in back doors. But they give this facade up front, but behind the doors, they're like, look, we want to get it the easy way. Okay, the easy way. But then again, you have, these companies, they're literally housed by the CIA front companies that are running in the tech sector that are giving your information away that you don't know anything about. But the guys that are legitimate, they're hammering the living crap out of them for information, okay? And all this is not even really any encryption, algorithm that's really, really powerful. We're talking basic S-MIME PGP, okay? Something that's been around forever. And it's not the strongest. They call it, quote, pretty good privacy. It's pretty good. It's decent. Basically, it'll give the NSA a little time, to work on it and get the email, but it's not going to keep them away from it. It's basically just like, okay, you're going to get this information eventually, but we'll keep you busy for a while. That's what PGP is.
When
and they don't even want you to have that.
When I was a kid, my father told me, in reference to people like breaking into your house, he said, you can have the strongest security system in the world. Somebody wants to get in, bad, they're going to get in. Doesn't matter. So you have to be able to take care of yourself, obviously. But it's the same thing when it comes to your email with the government. I mean, if they want to get in, they're going to get in.
Yes.
So people say, I've often thought about this. I had this conversation with one of the guys from Federal Jack, one of my hacker friends that works with me. And I said to him, honestly, what's a good secure email? And I said, because I have Gmail and I've been using it for a long time. I said, but I know that it's not that I don't know that they look through it, I'm sure, because they look, or record everybody's stuff. But, is there secure emails out there? And he looked at me and he said, well, yeah, there is kind of, but really they're not secure. He goes, because as soon as you send an email out to somebody, it's not like that email flies magically through the air directly to that person, right? It has to be routed through a bunch of different locations. And
everyone has access to it.
Right, and at least one place has to have a spot where that stuff's being filtered and collected. Or the government is, they know how that works, so they know somewhere along the line. They don't even have to tag you, or have you being monitored per se. They can just have it down the line is where they'll catch it. So that not even right out of your computer. You know what I mean? So it's not like it goes directly to the person. So he was like, it's not really secure to begin with. It doesn't matter what people tell you about secure email, because once it's sent, it's out there.
for you guys who are interested, check out BitMessage. I think it's bitmessage.org. A nice system that I've been using lately. But you brought me to my next point. Check this out. You can find this at stratus.com. Glimmerglass intercepts undersea cable traffic for spy agencies. This came out today. It is crazy. It says Glimmerglass, a Northern California company that sells optical fiber technology, offers government agencies a software product called Cyber Sweep to intercept signals on undersea cables. The company says their technology can analyze Gmail, Yahoo Mail, as well as social media like Facebook and Twitter to discover, quote, actionable intelligence. Not only are they, of course, getting all the data from a lot of these major backbones that they have set up black boxes there, but they're getting it elsewhere. I mean, they're getting it easily. But not only are they spying on you, they don't want you to have any notion of privacy whatsoever, and any guy who comes up with a system is cracked down and hit so hard, they'll never ask another question afterwards.
Nope, not allowed to. I'm surprised they haven't started locking people up.
But see, they use this sort of intellectual privacy crap nonsense to say, well, we want the ability to take down any website we deem not necessary. And first it starts out as, bootleg.
Well, why is ICE going after, video streaming sites?
Thank you.
Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, just in case people don't know what ICE stands for. So why is Immigration and Customs Enforcement? You would think that maybe they would be at the southern border stopping the drugs coming in. Oh, that's right, because the CIA brings a lot of the drugs in, so you can't have that. But, I digress. You would think that these people would be doing the job they're supposed to be doing, but no, instead ICE is taking down websites and raiding, places that sell, the faux merchandise, like Folkleys, instead of real Oakleys or whatever. You know what I mean? Why is ICE raiding that? Well, it's customs. Really? There's not bigger fish to fry?
No, I mean, right? You got a guy making fake throwback jerseys, right? They'll use that, IP stuff, and then they'll go take down your website or my website because we had some video up that played some music for 5 seconds, but they didn't do it because of that. They did it because it's political. And so they'll take something else and then use it against us, just like they use now the Patriot Act to, take down people, running strip clubs, okay? They use it for anything they want to use it once they have the ability to do it.
The Patriot Act for running a strip club. Yeah,
as a matter of fact, it's pretty well known. This guy who ran a strip club was doing some dirt on the side, right? Because it always happens in strip clubs. Well, I mean, they said, well, we're arresting you under the Patriot Act. He's not a terrorist. The guy's just a thug, selling a little cocaine on the side, okay? But it's the Patriot Act.
Wait a minute. Wait, maybe it was the strip club that the girlfriend of Muhammad Atta worked at. The devout Muslim that did cocaine, drank, and danced with pink-haired strippers?
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he's connected to terrorism. And in case people don't know, I'm talking about Muhammad Atta is the quote-unquote ringleader terrorist of the 19 radical hijackers that attacked us on 9/11. And even though he was a devout Muslim that wanted to kill white people and Christians because we're free, and he wanted to kill Jews as well because that's what these radical Muslims wanted to do on 9/11. He really enjoyed said freedoms that he hated. Like I said, he drank, did coke, and his girlfriend was a stripper. So maybe that's how he was connected. Maybe that's why they raided the strip club.
It's so funny. All these Android phones and
I'm
iPhones
being facetious, by the way.
Now. Yeah, true. Yeah. All these Androids and iPhone phones now right now, they're just basically NSA collection devices. They have malware built in for spying.
Dude, they're listening to us right now. You know that there's a company, what was it, like a year and a half ago now, that was given, at the time, it was like $550,000 contract, somewhere around there, to record all internet-based broadcasts.
Oh, look. When Microsoft bought Skype, okay, and they took it, and then they basically, which it was at one point decentralized, which means it was peer-to-peer. It didn't go through a central server. They went and took it and put it through a central server so that you could wiretap it. I mean, it's built for wiretaps. And they've taken this whole cyber industry and really used it as a weapon when they want to use it.
Yeah, disgusting. Skype used to be a lot freer. And I don't mean like paying for the service. I mean, when Skype first came out, the original idea was you had a communication system that the government didn't have access to, and they were flipping out. And I remember when they first started talking about it, the media would bash Skype and be like, terrorists use it to plot terror attacks against America.
That's like Tor, which is pretty well known as far as using it to, travel the web, in like basically in secrecy. The NSA wrote malware to break that down. I mean, here's what they want you to do, okay? They want everything that you put on the internet to be plain text or some format that they can read easily. I mean, literally, if we went back to a string and cup to talk to each other, they'd be there with the third string, okay, with the cup going, what are they talking about? I mean, that's how bad they are.
Because they're paranoid.
I was just about to say it. You took the words right out of my mouth.
They're afraid of us. That's why. Everybody's like, well, I don't understand why they're doing this. It's an act of desperation. They are scared. How many times do I tell people the whole police state is a physical manifestation of the powers that shouldn't be's fear of you? That's what it is. Why do you think they want to listen to your daughter's phone calls? Because she could be Al-Qaeda. They fear her. Why? Because maybe, just maybe, that kid might go online with her cell phone and go watch a YouTube video or listen to a radio show that's put up in podcast form. And, oh, my God, you can't have that.
Have you heard about this new SHIELD law now where they're saying who is and who isn't a journalist?
Dianne Feinstein can kick rocks, okay? That's the polite, family-friendly way to say it, okay? She can really go kick rocks, for real. Well, bloggers aren't journalists. You're only a journalist if you collect a paycheck. Really?
No. You're only a journalist if you're working for the three corporations that run everything.
Yeah, like ABC, CBS.
Well, no, I'm talking about GE.
Like Disney.
Or Disney, yeah. Viacom.
Yeah, I like when people source ABC News. Like, I mean, I'll post an article once in a while. They might talk about something or post something, and I may post a video from it. But when I won't source ABC News when they do like a story on something, really, maybe back in the day, but not now. Maybe like 10, 15 years ago. But now you can't even source them as a source anymore because it's Disney. So think about this for a second. The same people that brought you Pirates of the Caribbean and all these new Marvel movies, right, with all these special effects and stuff that looks really totally real, right? Yeah, they're the same ones bringing you your nightly news. But there's no way that there could possibly be a conflict of interest where they might actually show you something that didn't happen. Or
better
fake,
yet,
right?
Here's another one. How about them putting subliminal messages in the Disney films and showing all sorts of sick pedophilia wrapped up in these cartoons, and then giving you some twisted propaganda on the side?
Little Mermaid, the priest that marries them at the end of the movie, gets a hard-on while he's marrying them. And I love Disney's reaction when it came out into the general public and people became aware of it. They were like, well, it was a rogue cartoonist. Really?
A rogue cartoonist?
Really? It's like the lone gunman theory. It was a rogue cartoonist. He was in the 6th floor of the book depository building. Just retarded, dude. Break sneaking up on us. I'm going to cut us off. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few short minutes. Check out Mike's website. Stratrisks.com. Be right back. Subliminals in advertising. Actually, during the Truthathon, there was a gentleman who called up, and now for the life of me, I can't remember his name. We ended up getting cut off because I think his phone cut out or whatever while he was on air with us. But he sent me links to his YouTube. He's got a YouTube video about subliminals. It points out a lot of this stuff. I'll have to find the title of it. But it's it's like a good starting point. Yeah, I mean, people should really go when people see videos on YouTube and stuff where you see like subliminals being exposed, and people go, "Oh, that's fake. They put that in there or whatever." No, they didn't. I mean, that stuff is real. Disney's rife with that kind of crap. Even the movie The Rescuers, I think it was the one with the mice. It's an old one. It was older when I was a kid. I think it came out in the 50s or the 60s. But The Rescuers, if you go watch the movie, in the background there's a scene where they're like falling off a building or flying on the back of a seagull or whatever through the city. And while they're falling, in the windows in the background, there's it's either people having sex or a naked woman's silhouette in the window in the background.
Wow.
So they do this kind of stuff all the time, dude. And Disney's rife with it. I mean, just you can go through their stuff. You know who talks about this? And I've had this conversation actually. You know who he is, Freeman. I'm actually I'm trying to get him back on. I'm trying to figure. I'm working on scheduling him to get him back on currently. But I've had him on in the past. If people want to go to my archive over on federaljack.com from it was last year, 2012, sometime. I can't remember the exact date, but I had Freeman on and we talked about mind control and Disney and stuff like that. And he gets into it how Disney was working with our government to put mind control and subliminals and stuff inside, and certain messages inside films. I mean, look at some of the messages of the films themselves, let alone the hidden stuff in them. Like I said, in The Little Mermaid, the priest that marries him at the end, he gets a heart-on. And it's like, oh, and then even in the front of the cover, there's I don't know if it. I think they took you have to find the old covers, but you can find pictures of it. There's a penis inside the top of the castle on the front cover of the movie, and it's a rogue illustrator. One rogue illustrator. He just got access to everything. This guy must be like.
Every time they have something crazy like that, it's always one rogue illustrator.
Just but this, ridiculous, dude. It's like, really?
Well, what this is really, and I said this early on in the show about children not having a critical factor, a gatekeeper for bad stuff from reaching their brains and reaching their subconscious. If you think about it, you think about a 2-3-year-old child watching a Disney movie that's just rife with, pedophilia and little sick images, like where you have these cigarette advertisements that had like scenes of rape. Winston-Salem was one that had a lot of them in there, and it just reaches the subconscious. I mean, automatically, especially for children. That's like the damn Pokemon TV show that gave them all seizures in Japan.
Well, dude, speaking of marketing things towards children, I told you I have a black and white cartoon. It's got to be, I guess, from the 50s, maybe early 60s, of the Flintstones. And it's a Winston cigarette commercial. And it's Barney and Fred smoking a cigarette, like leaning back smoking cigarettes. And they have a big pack of Winston cigarettes in their hand.
Oh, God.
You can actually find it. It's up on, I think I have it on one of my YouTube channels. One of them, because there's still 3 or 4 of them that have that. Not because I have an archive channel for the radio show, but I still have the old Federal Jack ones where I have all these strange videos like this stuff archived. And I think it was on one of the ones that's not nuked. I'm going to try to find the link, but it's literally a Winston cigarette commercial with the Flintstones. And it's ridiculous because it's black and white, like blatant propaganda. If I was a kid and looked at it, I'd be like, I probably wouldn't even think twice about it. But like, oh, cool, commercial from, with the Flintstones, right? But as an adult and knowing what I know and, having the Hoffman sunglasses on, like from They Live, and you can see what's going on, or,
yeah,
it's like, whoa. Like, you look at stuff like this and it just jumps right out in your face. But no, they don't market things to kids. And I'm not blaming just Winston cigarettes, because obviously it's a PR company that does this stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I've got an example for you. And this one is from 2008. This is when I have archived.
Well, hold on. Keep that thought, because I just looked at the clock and the break sneaking up on us.
Roger,
so we have a nice long segment coming up. We can focus on more about the subliminals and the stuff that's hidden. I mean, people need to realize that this stuff is there, and realize it's not there just to, marketing isn't just to sell you stuff. There's more to it. It's connected to mind control and more. So we'll be right back. Interesting stuff. All right, when we got cut off, Mike was about to give an example of this mind control and the subliminals and stuff that we've been talking about, and the hidden things in messages and commercials. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, this is a great article from 2008, and this is from an advertising newswire website called Advertising Industry. Communication Nation, we are now transmitting directly to your brain. Like, what a title. Jeez. It says there, after predicting direct-to-brain advertising years ago, Scott G takes a look at the latest schemes to beam advertising and market communication inside your skull. The technology to beam audio and communication directly into your cranium is already available from 2 companies. It's like, oh God. And now what's worse, and here's another one, now this one's going to blow your mind, and people don't even think this is really even possible. As a researcher, and this is talking about 1975, a researcher, A.W. Guy, stated that one of the most widely observed and accepted biological effects of low-power electromagnetical energy of the auditory sensation evoked in man when exposed to pulse microwaves. Says, check this out. It says, today the ability to remotely transmit microwave voices inside a target head is known inside the Pentagon as synthetic telepathy. According to Dr. Robert Becker, synthetic telepathy has applications in covert operations designed to drive a target crazy with voices or to deliver undetected instructions to a programmed assassin.
But isn't that just a conspiracy theory?
No, it's in the patent office.
You know what I'm saying? Well, okay, like I played this little ditty, and you knew what it was. I've talked about this on air before. I actually played this probably like a year or 2 ago, but I've never played this for the unbound audience. There's this stuff called S-Quad tech, where they can like beam sound in your head. Basically, that's what Mike was talking about. But I like how they say, well, it's not really in your head. It beams it around your head. And okay, whatever. Like, you're beaming it into my noodle. So they used it. This is like some of the, like, kind of what you're talking about. This is probably like 4 or 5 years old now. This is what's even creepier. The show Paranormal State, about the bunch of college kids that go out and they investigate paranormal stuff. And I believe in paranormal. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't exist, but it was an advertisement for it. It's a billboard. Now I'm going to turn it up kind of loud so you can hear it. It's about 5 seconds into the audio, 5-6 seconds you'll start to hear it. And just listen, you're going to hear a voice faintly say, "It's not your imagination." And whisper a few other things. I think it also says it's not in your mind or something like that. But or who? No, it says, "Who's that? Hey, who's there? Who's there? Who's that?" And then it's not your imagination. It's a billboard advertising this show, and it was aimed at the street so that a particular part of the sidewalk, as you walk down, you hear this. And it would sound like someone was whispering in your ear, and you turn around and there's no one there, to give you the effect of, ooh, scary ghosts. So there's a little bit of background noise. So I'm going to, I apologize for the background noise, but it's kind of hard to separate the two because it was just recorded with someone using their camera walking down the street. But the camera obviously works, the microphone on a camera, and microphones in general kind of work the same way our ears do, and that's why it was able to pick up the sound. So the microphone was picking up exactly what their ears were hearing. It's creepy, but listen, you'll hear it say, it's not your imagination. Hey, who's there? Hey, who's there? So try to listen past. I'll let it play for about 20 to 30 seconds. Listen past the background noise and listen to the whisper. It's creepy.
Oh my God.
rewound it a couple times, obviously, in that one section specifically so you can hear it, because I know there was a lot of background noise, and that was about the cleanest spot. But you heard it, right?
Yeah.
Who's there? Who's there? It's not your imagination. It's coming from a billboard on the side of a building, being beamed down onto the sidewalk. If they could do that from a billboard for a TV show.
For a crappy TV show.
What do you think they use on us on a regular basis? Like military grade style?
You mentioned S-Quad. This is something that's really dangerous. Scalar kind of weaponry. Silent converted to voice FM hypnosis can be transmitted using a voice frequency modulator to generate the voice. It is a steady tone near the high end of hearing range, like 15,000 hertz, plus a hypnotist voice varying around 300 to 4,000 hertz. These two signals are frequency modulated. The output now appears to be a steady tone like tinnitus, like the ringing of your ear, plus with hypnosis embedded. The FM voice controls the timing of the transmitter's pulse. Think about that. You've got some hypnotist, along with, direct voice, silent sound technology telling you to do something. And really, there is really no defense for it.
Makes you look at people when they say, oh, I heard voices told me to do it. And people are like, wow, that guy's crazy.
Exactly. Like people like the son of Sam.
Gives it a whole new meaning. When you look into, you want to look up like the son of Sam and all that stuff, you want to look up some stuff about that, check out what Mae Brussel had to say about that. She said that he wasn't the only one that was doing that killing. She said he was part of a satanic cult that was doing those killings, and they blamed it on him. He was the fall guy, and it was a cover-up, basically. But there was more to it. There were other people involved. She said they were all part of this like satanic cult that was taking part of the murders. But you don't hear about that. It was just some crazy guy whose dog told him to do it, or his neighbor's dead dog told him to do it through the hole in the wall, or whatever the frig it was. Like, really?
Do you remember they talked about Operation Monarch and how they were embedding basically verbal commands into white noise, telling people to bring them cake, and all around their building where they were at, people just walking around with cake, like they were going to give them cake.
Dude, this stuff is the real deal. Like, people wonder why I'm sure people have had moments where maybe after they had an argument with somebody, or they hear an argument with them that they had with somebody like later on, maybe somebody recorded it or was on video or whatever, or audio, and they don't even know why they had the thoughts that they had, or maybe, in that argument. Maybe like they were defending a political figure or something. I mean, how many people do you see defending Obama just, without any question? And a lot of people go, oh, because they're stupid. They're dumb. They're stupid. No, dude. There's more to it than that. I mean, yes, there are some ignorant people out there. I agree. But there's a level of stuff going on behind the scenes. Joe Joseph and I talked about this. And Melissa Melton and Aaron Dykes as well during the Truthathon thing. They can hide signals underneath the TV signal. So not only can they, like, if there was cable, like a camera in your cable box, could they be watching you and not only transmitting a signal to you to keep you, occupied, but pulling video and audio and feeding it back, but which that in and of itself is creepy. But they also can put signals underneath there. So say you have your basic signal with your TV and you're watching your TV show, but underneath it's just like in They Live, and it's like sleep. Procreate, sleep. And, he looks up at the poles and he sees the spinning things on the, like the loudspeakers on the poles. And it's like, sleep, sleep, sleep. That's why the whole, one of the sublines of the movie is They Live, We Sleep.
Well, I mean, you mentioned this. I saw an article last night talking about how SOCOM was looking to find a way to hijack AM and FM radio signals during emergencies. Let me pull that up real quick. And they were talking about MISO applications, and MISO is PSYOPs. They changed the name from psychological operations to MISO, and they were talking about let me see here. Oh yeah,
what is it like military industrial cycle?
No, it's military it's called Military Information. Let me pull this up. SOCOM seeks to a system to control AM and FM transmissions in emergency.
What is it? The Military Information Systems Office or some stupid acronym?
Oh, here it is. Military Information Support Operations. To be which used to be known as psychological operations. And it says here, in future natural disasters or battlefield operations, U.S. Special Operations Command would be able to take over local AM, FM radio transmissions to broadcast the message. Well, guess what? It was already done in the Iraq War. And I got a little bit of information on that.
What were the first things they targeted? I mean, besides, like the water plants and everything else, some of the first things that they targeted with the cruise missiles were like the Ministry of Information. They nailed all their TV stations, all their radio towers. I mean, you cut off communication. It's the first thing you do.
Yeah, exactly. But they use those type of weapons on the Iraqi soldiers. That's why they surrendered so quickly. Oh, in the first Gulf War, yeah, they irradiated the field with like HARP, because HARP is an older form of scalar. And I always say if they're willing to let you talk about HARP now, like you see all these shows on the History Channel, like they had one a couple of years back called That's Incredible about weather manipulation, and a few other ones. They had one about like robots and everything else. But they openly talked about HARP on there. If they're openly talking about that, let me tell you something, that's old technology. That means that they have something that's 100 years ahead of that by now. They probably have HARP in their pocket. And they're just killing that off, basically.
Right, they probably just have HARP in a pocket now. It's like they have like the cell phone version of HARP.
Yeah, so check this out here. The Edward Tilton, the president of Solid Sounds Incorporated, says of the S-Quad in a letter, it says, all schematics, however, have been classified by the U.S. government. We are now not allowed to reveal the exact details. But it says, we make CDs for the German government and even the former Soviet Union countries, all with permission of the State Department. Of course, the system was used throughout Operation Desert Storm in Iraq quite successfully. And that's talking about that silent hypnosis system.
Kind of makes you wonder why they didn't employ it the second time around.
I know, right?
Like, I guess
they did a lot of testing.
I guess they wanted the war to go bad. I mean, why would they want a war to drag on? Oh, wait a minute. Military-industrial complex, more profiteering, other reasons, maybe making a foothold in the region. Oh, I get it. Understood. Now I understand.
I mean, it's so incredible. I mean, you think about some crappy TV network, using voice skull technology, which has been used since the 70s by the military. I mean, even the Soviet Union was using it against the U.S. Embassy.
Yeah, true. Trying to demoralize them.
Yeah, I mean, now they have the ability to change the brain state, to change our emotions using these different technologies. And that's using electroencephalogram software.
That's why, like I said, if that thing is on the side of a building being used to advertise a crappy A&E TV show, imagine what they have that you don't know about. And it's probably portable and fits in a suitcase. Probably ray gun type stuff.
Well, the shot spotter, man, which I talked about for years now.
That's where they have stuff.
And they have them on a lot of these major metropolitan cities, sitting on top of buildings.
But it's to pick up gunshots, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. But what it is it's like sonar triangulation, okay? They hear a shot, and then they basically triangulate about the sound and really, really bouncing off of the waves of all these various sensors, and then they find the shooter.
Where have I seen something like this? Oh, it was 2 Batman films ago, right? Where Morgan Freeman got all pissed off at him because he had this echolocation device and he could map out and hear everything that was going on in the city. But they would never do that because they wouldn't spy on us. I mean, they would never violate our civil liberties and spy on us. Oh, wait a minute. They already are? Oh. That's right. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment. Mike, every time you're on with me, I blink and the show is over. Realistically.
It's like we hammer as much information as we possibly can, as fast as we can, in these 2 hours. Hey, man, it works.
Yeah, we do try. There's always more stuff to talk about, so that just leaves for future episodes. But I always try to, end the show on somewhat of a positive note, if I can, as much as I can, because we do talk about a lot of bad stuff, dark stuff, gloomy-looking stuff. And I don't want people to. I don't want it all to be doom and gloom. Even if sometimes I even devote like the last half hour. But we talked about a ton of things. So like what positive message or what solution would you offer? I mean, I would say people should just you see something like this, don't be afraid because they're spying on you. You should be pissed off about it and actually be more vocal. But what say you?
Well, I think that right now, I think it's really a special time in history because the government is taking off the gloves. I mean, literally like, the iron fist and the velvet glove, they're taking off the damn velvet glove and leaving the iron fist. I mean, these guys are opening up and cracking down on everything. And that is going to open a lot of eyes. And in order for us to capitalize on that, we first must get over ourselves, to get over our own egos and our own problems, and be in a position to benefit from that. Because you're going to have a lot of people out there lost in the wilderness going, what the hell has gone wrong with this country? And they're going to wake up, and it's going to be like you having no sleep, and as soon as you go to sleep, somebody's shaking you violently and saying, look what just happened. And you're going to go, whoa. So really, we have to be in a position to where we're not reliant upon Walmart. We're not reliant upon the government, but we're reliant upon ourselves. And we have a network. We have friends. We have families. We have other networks linked up. Really also look into open mesh networking. So if the internet goes down, I mean, we really do have to look at that. Look into ham radios and really get past yourself, get past your own ego, and just break it down to karma. Do what you need to do for the sake of things going downwards, and they're sliding down bad. And it's not that it's all doom and gloom, it is just what it is, honestly, but you must make preparations. I'm not talking about seeds per se. I'm talking about mental and spiritual preparation.
Chance favors the prepared mind. It's one of my favorite quotes.
That's a damn good quote. I'd remember that.
Mm-hmm. Chance favors the prepared mind. So
on my website, I have a quote, Latin quote, that basically says, when you are forewarned, you are forearmed, which means that you're in a position to do something better than you were when you were not having that knowledge.
And knowledge is true power. I mean, they don't want. Why do you think they keep going after it? The whole basic premise of what they're doing is, if you look at things on a base level, it's they want to break up communication on us on all levels. And
they call it an intelligence agency. And so you know that the intelligence is the first word you see. That's all they're interested in.
Well, yeah, and that's why you see all this crap coming out, whether it's them wanting to shut the internet down or them trying to foment, fake racial tension. It's to create, like, the racial tension thing creates division, breaks up communication with people talking because, oh my God, that's a white person or that's a black person, that's a Latino person.
The society.
Exactly. And then they want to shut down communication on the internet because that really bridges gaps. And you can't have that, especially when you're spreading this kind of propaganda crap, right? You need it to only be from the official party line. So bam, the internet's got to go, and they're trying like hell. I mean, what did Jay Rockefeller say? He let the cat out of the bag with that one quote. Perhaps the internet should never have existed.
Yes. Well, you think about it. I have the ability to talk to someone in Japan, and really he can tell me what's going on in his country. I can tell you what's going on in mine, and really we can share information that we've never had access to. You think about it. The Library of Alexandria now can be put on a damn hard drive that you own, that you could pay for with $100. Okay, while our economy seems to be sliding down the hill, everything else seems to be increasing as far as knowledge and information and really sort of loftier spiritual goals. And so in those times, that's what you really have to focus on. Otherwise, you will get down in the mud like everyone else.
I agree. See, I like to leave things in a positive note, man. There's there's so much negativity out there, and we you focus on it, when we have to bring it up, but the first step to, solving a problem is admitting there is a problem. So once we know what the problem is, we can correctly solve it. It's like trying to treat a disease, but you're treating the symptom and you're not actually treating the disease. How about we treat the root cause of the symptom, which is the disease itself, and we get rid of it.
Yeah, and check yourself. I mean, I'm a happy person, okay? And I can look at this information all day and I can hate what's going on, but at the same time, I'm still happy to be alive.
Well, and you got to check your ego at the door. You said, you made a good point. I talk about that often. People really need to check their egos at the door. We're out of time, Mikey. I'm just going to have you back on again soon.
All right, man. I'll get out of the cave for you as soon as possible.
Yeah, his little sequestration into his cave. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. Remember, as I say, the solutions to our problems are most definitely an inside job. Love you all. We're out of here.